So this is just going to be one of about 2 or 3 videos today because there is so much going on that we need to talk about. First, let's do our Unrivaled recap as we have entered the final stage of the Unrivaled as the playoffs just concluded and the finals are underway this evening. Shockingly, it is a vinyl rose matchup as the Lunar Owls were upset last night, quite frankly, making me a little upset. So first of all, I want to apologize because my bias is going to come into this video just a little bit because there is just something that feels inherently wrong about a team that was 5-9 for the season, the Vinyl, under 500 team being in the championship game for Unrivaled, and the Lunar Owls, who were 12-1, not being there at all. I understand March Madness. I understand playoffs. But I don't know. I think that there is just something with I don't know if it's like the sample size of games or what, but it just does not feel right that the Lunar Owls, who went 12-1 for the entire season, lost one time to the Rose, who also deserved to be in the final, but with the Lunar Owls, and they go down to a team that was 5 games to 9 losses in the season. Now, the Vinyl have some bucket getters. I mean, there is Ryan Howard, who has the record for the amount of threes in a game with 9 3-pointers in a game at one time, and she was just coming off she was blocking Nafisa Collier, she was hitting her threes, she was hitting her middies, making layups, and Jordan Canada, who I initially thought would do really well in this format, last night was her night. Now, she didn't do as well as I thought that she would. She is 5'6", so it isn't that shocking as the bigs have seemed to dominate the format that we all thought that they wouldn't be good in. But I think it's also fair to point out that Nafisa Collier, who almost didn't play last night, she was questionable for an ankle injury, did end up powering through it, because she is the absolute X factor of not only that team, but the whole league. I do have to give it up to Diarca Hamby also for being very solid on the Vinyl team pretty consistently. She ended up actually getting the game-winning bucket, and those last few minutes of that game, they were just so tight and so contentious, so competitive.
Hamby for the upset, yes! Vinyl defeats #1 Lunar Owls. They're going to the championship game tomorrow night in Miami.
Frankly, the Vinyl were actually down by 10 points. I don't even know how they came back. They did though, and it was a 1-point game. It was going back and forth as to top scorers, and it just so happened that Diarca Hamby grabbed the ball, fought to the rim, and she got the game-winning bucket, scoring over Nafisa Collier for the upset, sending the Vinyl to the final, which, again, I don't even see how this makes any sense. And I am all for the underdog. I usually am for the underdog. And, AB's on that team. I can't say that Unrivaled is her best work. I have been thinking that, she needs to hop on a plane, get in the lab back with Keith Porter. But I think that there is something that just systematically needs to be adjusted in Unrivaled for next season, as I have watched every single game, and the Vinyl is not the team that has been the most exhilarating team to watch. They have had a lot of bricklaying games. The Lunar Owls have been the team to take this league actually seriously and have actually played basketball where I've been like, wow, this is really good basketball, where every other team has had many bricklaying games that have made me kind of question the league just in total. And whenever you see something that isn't fair, at least for me, whenever I see something that doesn't seem fair, that's part of the sport. And I had to just swallow that pill last night, but I don't want to not bring that up as something that I think that they should somehow correct in the next season. I don't know if it's maybe like having 2 rounds of a playoff, because it's pretty certain that a team every once in a while will lose, especially when your star player is questionable with an ankle injury. And the point to watching a final or championship game is to watch the best basketball. Now, do I think that we are going to be watching the best basketball tonight in the final? It's a possibility, but I don't think that it is a probability as it would be if the Lunar Owls were playing the Rose. So switching over to the Rose game, and again, this is like less of a recap, more of kind of like a hot take video. I do believe that the Rose do deserve to be in the final. I think that they are a level below the Lunar Owls because the Lunar Owls are just in a category of themselves. But the Rows are a level below them, and then below them is pretty much everybody else. Even the Laces, because they were plagued by injuries, it really did hurt their season. But the Rows had a turnaround of a season. Chelsea Gray just started coming in and knocking down buckets. Even Angel Reese was very important to the team. And in the beginning of that game, the Rows versus the Laces, I could have actually taken a nap because it was pretty much a brick fest. But in the third quarter, it all turned around and it became a very, very fun and very competitive game. Chelsea Gray scored 39 points in that game, and that is bananas, people. She had to make up for Angel Reese not being in the game. Angel Reese is out with her wrist injury, and they were getting out-rebounded by the Laces, unshockingly. And in the first half of that game, it was very apparent what Angel Reese does contribute to the team. But Chelsea Gray did pick up the slack, and the Rose came back from quite a deficit to beat the Laces and head on into the finals. And there was even one point where Angel Reese does tweet out that Chelsea Gray is the MVPG, which, obviously point guard, of the league. And I gotta say, I have been championing Chelsea Gray's comeback, so stoked for it, rooting for her all the way. But there is just no way that Chelsea Gray is MVP of Unrivaled over Napheesa Collier, who has consistently put down huge numbers in every game, huge blocks. She plays two-way better than any other player in that league. So Chelsea Gray, I am very much a fan of her comeback and a fan of what she's been able to accomplish in the league. I do not think this has any validity to it whatsoever. But I gotta tell you, after watching that game last night, the Vinyl actually did play a great game of basketball against the Lunar Owls. They were not making it easy on them whatsoever. I will say that Skylar Diggins-Smith did not have her best game, and she is an important part of the Lunar Owls. But after watching the game last night, I can't say who I think will win this game. I would have put the down payment to my home on the fact that the Lunar Owls would be in the final. But hey, I was wrong in that. I can't not call myself out, but the Vinyl against the Rose is tonight. I will be watching begrudgingly, so stay tuned for that.